All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Ship or Snip. We are so excited to talk about this week's movie. My name is Danielle. I'm one of the youth educators here at Fearless.
And my name's Renee. I'm the other youth educator here at Fearless.
Yes, we are so excited to be talking about a movie that I think a lot of people really know very well. We're going to be talking about Beauty and the Beast, the cartoon version. So the Disney classic Beauty and the Beast. Today we're just going to be breaking down the movie. We'll be talking about Belle and the Beast, of course, and their relationship, and we'll decide if we're going to ship it or snip it.
I'm excited.
Me
I was
too.
nervous starting this one because I didn't want to ruin my childhood.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting to watch something again as an adult that you grew up with. And
Absolutely.
I was a big Beauty and the Beast fan. I saw it on Broadway. It was definitely one of my favorites. And now looking back at it, we're in a position where we can break it down and talk about all the things that happen in this movie.
Exactly.
So as I mentioned before, we're going to be particularly talking about Belle and the Beast and what their relationship looks like from the beginning and to the end.
Great.
And just as a reminder, what we've used in the past, Join One Love has a really great graphic that shows us the 10 signs of a healthy relationship and the 10 signs of an unhealthy relationship. We'll be using this to refer back to when we talk about particular scenes in the movie, when we break down whether we think their relationship has more healthy aspects or unhealthy aspects. Mm-hmm. So here's our unhealthy list. And let's just jump right in. Let's start talking about Beauty and the Beast.
Let's do it.
So for those who haven't seen the movie, we highly recommend you check it out if you have Disney Plus. The movie came out in 1991, so it is pretty old. But for those who aren't familiar, Beauty and the Beast is about a young girl named Belle who lives with her older father. She is a very smart, intelligent woman who desires venturing out and experiencing the world and learning new things. Her father one day decides to go on a journey into the woods.
So what happens is that her father finds himself at a crossroads and doesn't know which way to go. Right. And he decides to go down the very dark, spooky path.
Yeah, so he ends up going down the wrong path and ends up at this really dark, cold, scary castle. He ends up being taken prisoner by the Beast, and Belle has to go and rescue him. She ends up getting to the castle and making a deal with the Beast. In exchange for letting her father go, she decides that she is going to stay at the castle forever and be held hostage by the Beast.
Take me instead.
You would take his place?
No, you don't know what you're doing.
If I did, would you let him go?
Yes. But you must promise to stay here forever.
Come into the light.
And that's kind of where the journey leads us into our first scene.
Yeah, already not off to a good start.
Right.
I don't like to see relationships begin in a prison cell when you're locked up far, far away from everything you know.
Mm-hmm. That's not a great way to start off anything.
No.
Belle definitely has a lot of anger, and she's definitely very scared to be there. She's also worried about her father. Even though he was let free, she's now separated from him. And in one particular scene, Belle refuses to come to dinner. She does not want to go and sit down and have dinner with the Beast, which understandably so. He's holding her hostage now. Why would she want to sit down at the dinner table and have dinner with him?
She's not coming.
What?
Your Grace! Your Eminence!
I thought I told you to come down to dinner.
I'm not hungry.
And after Cogsworth, the talking clock, comes down and tells the Beast she doesn't want to come to dinner, the Beast aggressively bangs on the door, is pounding, telling her she has to come out and have dinner with him. She repeatedly says no, and the Beast says, he actually says, if she doesn't eat with me, she doesn't eat at all, so we're going to let her starve.
Please.
No, thank you.
You can't stay in there forever.
Yes, I can.
Fine. Then go ahead and starve. If she doesn't eat with me, then she doesn't eat at all.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that we should discuss is the concept of withholding something and controlling a schedule and controlling resources, controlling food. As we saw with the unhealthy relationships characteristics, control is, I think, number one. It's a huge red flag if one person in a relationship repeatedly has to reject an offer, is very clear in their rejection of an offer, and then the result is, okay, well, if you don't give me this, if you don't give me dinner with you, you're not going to eat at all, and you're never going to leave this room.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately we know that the Beast's intentions aren't to treat Belle with respect, dignity that she inherently has because she's a human being.
Yeah.
Instead, he continuously decides, well, she is my prisoner. I'm going to treat her as a prisoner. And this is the way I think she should be treated.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we could talk about the word intensity too, that scene in particular. She obviously doesn't want to have dinner with him, and to have someone aggressively bang on the door and scream very loudly would definitely identify that as a very intense moment, and just trying to convey that intensity, that the need that they want them to only come to dinner just so they can sit and have dinner with them.
Absolutely. And to think that what could that conversation have looked like if they were face to face, if the door wasn't there, if Cogsworth wasn't acting as this conduit of the conversation. It's even more scary. And another word that comes to mind when looking at this graphic is volatility.
Yes.
Just this huge amount of anger and violence to physically hit anything, whether or not it's a person, but to hit a wall, to hit a door, that's just, it opens, no pun intended, it opens the door for more violence.
Right. Yeah, and I think in that scene, Mrs. Potts tries to get the Beast to calm down by saying, be a gentleman, be more gentle. But that doesn't work in that particular scene. It doesn't work for the Beast. He's just a very volatile and intense character, I guess we could say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we talk about, well, in the beginning of the movie, when Belle is being shown to her room, the Beast says, you can go anywhere in the castle except the West Wing. He describes it as being forbidden. This is a space that she cannot go in. Lumiere, Cogsworth, and Mrs. Potts are showing Belle around the castle, giving her a tour, and during that tour, she is kind of distracted by the West Wing and decides that she wants to go through it. She ends up in the West Wing and goes exploring, and then she ends up getting caught. Or no, she doesn't get caught.
She gets caught by the Beast as she's about to touch or pick up the magical rose. He kisses her.
Why did you come here?
I'm sorry.
I warned you never to come here.
I didn't mean any harm.
Do you realize what you could have done?
Stop!
Get out!
No!
Get out!
Yes, and she gets really startled, and that is when she decides she's making a run for it. She's going to run away. She ends up in the same woods that her father ended up in. She becomes really unsafe. She becomes surrounded by wolves, and the beast appears out of nowhere. He rescues her, but he becomes injured in doing so. But I think we should definitely talk about why she ran away, why she felt the need to run away immediately, and that interaction in the West Wing.
Yeah, especially coming off just such a volatile argument about food. This is literally the next interaction the two have. And she tries to explain herself. She says, if you just give me a chance, I wasn't going to do anything. He doesn't want to hear any of it. And he screams, he snarls, he growls. She becomes so frightened. We see as she's running away, trying to exit the castle, she says, promise or no promise, I'm not staying here another minute. Specifically referencing the fact that she had promised the rest of her life ultimately to the beast. It's just a really scary situation to think that, to put yourself in her shoes. I ran away in a hot minute.
Yeah, absolutely. She knows, I think she's aware of the danger that she could be facing by running into the woods, but for her in that moment, that was what her option was, to run away. And to her surprise, to everyone's surprise, the beast ends up coming to rescue her, and as a result becomes injured, which leads us right into the next scene when Belle and the beast return to the castle. Belle immediately tries to tend to his wounds. He has some marks on his arm from his interaction with the wolves. And in that scene in particular, they're yelling at each other, kind of going back and forth. But they kind of go back and forth for a moment until the beast realizes that she is trying to help him. And in that moment, he calms down and he allows Belle to tend to his wounds. So we have this strange moment of almost like normalcy and like a very calm moment where the beast realizes that Belle's only intention in that moment is to help him. Yeah.
Here now. Oh, don't do that. Just hold still.
That hurts!
If you'd hold still, it wouldn't hurt as much.
Well, if you hadn't have run away, this wouldn't have happened.
If you hadn't frightened me, I wouldn't have run away.
Well, you shouldn't have been in the West Wing.
Well, you should learn to control your temper. Now hold still. This might sting a little. By the way, thank you for saving my life.
You're welcome.
It's interesting because I think of growing up and you never wanted to have a fight or an argument with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. That's always a bad sign. It's almost as if, well, if you have a fight, you have to break up. It's one or the other. Either your relationship is perfect, daisies, sunshine, and rainbows all the time, or there is no relationship. And something that I loved about this scene was that it ended in such a normal way.
Yeah.
Of them acknowledging, okay, well, we're just going to set this down and move forward because we can. And it's an important lesson for everybody to recognize that arguing, fighting, even if it's yelling, can be okay. When it's the healthy expression of each other's feelings and emotions and the openness to listening to what the other has to say. When an argument goes into name calling, goes into threats of withholding the food, like we saw earlier, threats to one's physical safety. That's when an argument becomes something more and becomes an abusive or an unhealthy behavior.
Right. Yeah, and we have to be able to identify when something is escalating. So if there are two individuals who are having some kind of verbal altercation and it escalates, we would have to determine if we felt that that was unhealthy. But in that scene in particular, they are kind of like putting the blame on each other, but they come to some kind of equal stance where they both realize they're kind of just trying to help each other. Like in the long run, the Beast was trying to help Belle, and now she's trying to tend to his wounds in that moment in front of the fireplace. Mm-hmm. Which this leads us to the scene where he kind of gifts her the library. Which is a really big deal for Belle because she loves books. She loves to read. She loves indulging in these stories of, faraway tales. And he kind of gives her the library kind of as a gift, as his way of apologizing for the way he's been acting. And I think it's really important that we talk about gift giving in an unhealthy relationship and distinguishing the difference between healthy gift giving and maybe not so healthy gift giving.
Yeah, because a gift isn't inherently bad. It isn't inherently good either. It's just a gift.
Yeah.
But in the larger context, right, of their entire relationship, for me, it doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
You have to think of, he's still controlling her actions.
Mm-hmm.
He's still controlling where she can go.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously not allowed to go into the West Wing again. She can't leave the castle grounds. So she can't see her family. She's entirely isolated, which is one of the ultimate goals in controlling and abusive relationships. And so, including all of that context, this gift of a humongous and amazing library still doesn't sit well because she still can't leave. She still can't see her family.
Right.
It's almost as if it's just another tactic to make her happy in the moment, but not give her what she needs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the central themes with this movie too is the idea that Belle wants to go out and explore and experience new things, and in the meantime she's stuck in this little tiny village with the same people, and the only way that she can escape from this reality is by reading. And the Beast trapping her in this castle and then gifting her with a library full of all of these books that she can, occupy herself with, really takes away from the idea that she really just wants to go out there and explore and learn new things. And like Renee said, there's nothing wrong with giving your partner a gift. There's nothing wrong with surprising your partner with a gift. It's a good way to express your love, how you feel about the person. But in this situation in particular, we're talking about an unhealthy relationship. This gift doesn't feel like a genuine gift. It feels like a replacement, an apology for all of these terrible things and experiences that Belle has had to do.
You have to consider the foundation of this relationship, which is pure control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I think it's used as a distraction too. She got in trouble for exploring the West Wing, and if it were to happen again, it could be used as an excuse. Like, I gave you this library, you have all of this room, you can go to any other part of the castle, or you can explore this library. You can't go to the West Wing. So kind of used as a distraction, but in the end, really just used for his own benefit, and not so much Belle's.
I think a great point to what Danielle just said was she got in trouble. How can you get in trouble with a partner, with an equal?
Right.
Getting in trouble places the this power imbalance between Belle and the Beast. It puts the Beast in a place of power and Belle in a place without any power.
Right.
And if somebody is feeling that they're going to get in trouble, we have to really sit with that concept and analyze, what is this power? Having a conversation and having a disagreement doesn't mean that anybody is in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It means maybe feelings were hurt or somebody's feelings weren't acknowledged. But to be in trouble with your partner, that doesn't sound like an equal partnership to me.
Yeah, it definitely isn't. Absolutely. Yeah. And this kind of leads us to, I think, an overall, this overarching theme that we see throughout the movie, the idea that women and girls kind of have this responsibility to look past unhealthy behaviors, and almost as if it's their job to fix their partner. So he's not perfect, but she can get him there. And, she's expected to accept him as he is, look past this outer shell and all these unhealthy behaviors. And I think that the relationship between Belle and the Beast really captures this idea that Belle is someone that has to fix the Beast. And I think even from the very beginning, we meet Belle as a caretaker. She lives with her father. Her father is elderly. He's kind of known as like the town wackadoodle. He's got all these crazy like inventions and stuff, and she's kind of his caretaker. And then she ends up in a castle where she then is tending to the Beast and having to look past all of these terrible and unhealthy behaviors and accept him for who he is, which on the outside is this very hairy beast creature. Scary thing. He's very tall. He's much taller than her. And I think it's just this really central idea that women and girls have this responsibility to fix whoever their partner is, to accept him just for who he is. And he's a work in progress. She'll put in the work. She'll get him to where he needs to be. And that's really a problematic idea that we've kind of have ingrained in our heads through society, and we see this in this movie in particular.
Yeah, but what's interesting about it, right, is that Beast doesn't have that task at hand.
Right.
He doesn't have to change Belle, because Belle magically shows up in his life by all of these happenstances, and she's by all means perfect. Patient, she's understanding, she's intelligent, she's beautiful. Her name literally means beauty.
Yeah.
How is it that Belle has to learn to accept him for all that he is on the inside, inner beauty, when Beast has to just say, please love me for who I am. I promise you.
Right.
I'll change. I'll do this. I'll do that. But he will never have to strive to accept who Belle is. She is who she is, and that is perfect. And it's a very disheartening ideal for little girls to look up to. I remember being a little girl, and I thought that Belle was the person to look up to, because she had everything. She was smart, she was funny, she was beautiful. And if you aren't all of those things, then are you lacking something?
Right. It's important to think about the rose and the task at hand. So in order for the spell to break, it's really not up to the Beast. It ends up coming down to Belle. Belle decides that she loves him for who he is, and therefore the spell gets broken and he gets turned back into this beautiful prince, and he has his life back. And it really goes back to that pressure that he doesn't have to feel.
Absolutely. Like how is it that a curse that was put on the Beast is somehow not the Beast's responsibility to
Right. It's very interesting.
Like, how? I just thought of this. Now I'm upset all over again.
I think that's why it's important to have conversations like this when we're thinking about movies that we grew up with, because, you know, as a child and even as a teenager, not making these connections and not seeing it, but looking back as an adult and watching a movie like this and seeing so many things that pop up as kind of like red flags. And it's important that we talk about these things.
Absolutely.
So let's think about some questions that anyone that's watching, we want you to think about. So why does Belle help the Beast when he's attacked by the wolves, when she could have just kept going? I think this goes back to the idea of feeling pressure as a woman, as a young girl, to be a caretaker, take care of this person. She definitely could have, went and found her way back home, but something in her told her to stay and help the Beast. He was injured. Did the Beast really learn anything? We kind of talked about this.
Yeah.
What did the Beast really take away? I'm not sure. I mean, in one of the last scenes, the Beast decides that it's the best for Belle to go and rescue her father. She looks in the mirror and she sees that her father is dying or he needs help. And the Beast says, you know, you should go help your father. Maybe we could say he learned something there, but out of the entire movie,
I do think the Beast learned some things. I think we do see Belle and her kindness rub off on him.
mm-hmm.
But as a whole, I think Beast also learns that no matter how he treats Belle, she's gonna come back and she's gonna stay.
Right.
Which, that lesson is really scary to think about, because that is when we see what we know as the cycle of abuse, right? We see it cut in half. We see the apologies leave, and we see that honeymoon phase leave. All we see is tensions and incidences over and over. And we don't know really how the rest of their story ends. Maybe they do live happily ever after, like I so hope they do. But if indeed he did learn that he can still act like a beast and she will still be there for him, that's definitely concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I think this leads us really into our big question. What do we think? Are we going to ship them? Are we going to snip them? Is this a healthy relationship? Is it an unhealthy relationship? All right. We are going to snip. I'm so sorry. We are going to snip them.
I think I really just snipped my childhood heart in half. I know
that's what it feels like.
Of course, we don't know the length of the relationship in real time. But what we do know is that she still sacrifices her dream of going out and exploring for maybe just a bigger library, which is sad.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I did this play when I was in my senior year. I thought it was just like the ultimate love story, and I think as educators, it's really important for us to break down things like this and talk about why there are a lot of red flags in movies like this. But yes, we are ending by saying we are snipping Belle and the Beast.
They gotta go.
They gotta go. But we want to thank you so much for joining us and for watching this video. We have a lot of great new Ship or Snip episodes coming along. We hope to see you back. And yeah, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.